Before you set any goals, this year, listen to this. Guided by the quiet guide. There is a quiet pressure that shows up at the beginning of a year. It does not arrive loudly. It does not announce itself. But you feel it. You notice it when your mind starts scanning for what should change, what needs fixing, what you promised yourself you would finally do this year. Goals begin forming before you have checked in with how you actually feel, before you notice the tightness in your body, before you realize how quickly urgency has taken over. Most people mistake this pressure for motivation. It is not. It is tension pretending to be ambition. And when goals are chosen from tension, they quietly work against you. They demand force. They require constant effort just to stay on track. Over time, they drain energy. When I say energy, I do not mean excitement or hype. I mean how easy or hard it feels to show up. How much inner resistance you have to push through every time you try to act. Goals chosen from pressure make everything feel heavier than it needs to be. You are not wrong for wanting more from your life. But wanting more without direction often leads to exhaustion. Direction is not the same as clarity, and clarity is not the same as certainty. By clarity, I mean a quiet sense that something fits. Not perfectly, not completely, just enough that you are not fighting yourself at every step. Urgency pushes you to decide quickly so you can escape discomfort. Clarity allows you to move without rushing. Most people are never given time for that kind of clarity. At the start of a year, the noise is loud. Advice, expectations, comparisons. Everyone seems to know what they are aiming for. And if you are not careful, you start choosing goals just to keep up. This is how people end up chasing goals that look responsible but feel wrong. They look good on paper. They make sense when explained to others. But internally, something feels off. Motivation fades quickly. Consistency becomes a struggle. And eventually, self-trust takes a hit. Not because you are unreliable, but because the goal never truly belonged to you. You are not here because a new year demands something from you. You are here because this moment offers a pause before commitment. A chance to slow the momentum before it carries you somewhere you did not consciously choose. Allow yourself to pause here before momentum takes over. There is no checklist waiting, no version of you that needs to be proven, no race you are already losing. Only direction, waiting to be chosen carefully. If this is not understood early, the same pattern tends to repeat. Goals are set with good intentions, effort is applied generously, and months later, motivation fades again. Not because of failure, but because of misalignment. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not undisciplined. You are not broken. You have not missed your moment. You were simply never taught how to slow down before choosing what to aim at. People believe their goals fail because they lack discipline. They tell themselves they did not try hard enough, that they were not consistent enough, that they lost motivation. They blame willpower. They promise to be stricter next time, more organized, more focused. This belief sounds responsible. It even feels honest. But it is wrong. The mistake most people make with goals happens long before effort begins. It happens at the moment the goal is chosen. Most goals are set as an attempt to escape discomfort. Not in an obvious way, quietly. They are set to outrun dissatisfaction, to silence a sense of falling behind, to prove something, or to finally feel enough. And because this urge feels intense, it gets mistaken for clarity. But urgency is not clarity. By clarity, I mean that quiet sense that something fits, a calm inner yes, even before you know exactly how it will work. Urgency, on the other hand, feels tight, rushed, pressured. It pushes you to decide quickly, so you do not have to sit with uncertainty. When a goal is born from urgency, it carries tension inside it. That tension does not disappear once the goal is written down. It travels with you into the pursuit. It turns effort into pressure, progress into anxiety, discipline into force. When I talk about energy, I do not mean enthusiasm or hype. I mean how hard or easy it feels just to show up. How much inner resistance you have to push through every time you try to act. Goals born from tension drain that energy. They make everything feel heavier than it needs to be. You can still make progress, but it costs more than it should. This is why people feel strangely exhausted by goals they once felt excited about. Think about a goal you abandoned in the past. At the beginning, it felt energizing. You were focused, determined, maybe even proud of yourself. But somewhere along the way, showing up started to feel harder, consistency felt forced, and eventually, you stopped. Most people assume this means the goal was too ambitious. Often, the real problem was not the size of the goal, it was the reason it existed. Another quiet mistake people make is borrowing goals they never chose. Some goals come from culture, from what success is supposed to look like. Some come from family expectations. Some come from comparison. You see what others are building, achieving, or posting on social media. Yes, that video of that lovely couple renting a hotel conference room, writing goals on a board. Oh, that super rehearsed camera capture of the couple setting goals. Both business or family goals. I bet you may have seen lots of such videos. Now, if not careful and without noticing, your goals begin to shift to match a standard you never consciously agreed to. These borrowed goals usually look respectable. They sound sensible when explained to others. But internally, something feels off. The pursuit feels hollow. Motivation fades quickly, and the longer you chase it, the more disconnected you feel from yourself. This is not a character flaw. It is misalignment. By misalignment, I mean the goal does not match your values, your season of life, or your real capacity. When that happens, your system resists. Not loudly, quietly, through procrastination, through distraction, through exhaustion, through the feeling that something is always in the way. Many people interpret this resistance as weakness, but resistance is sometimes information. Another mistake that quietly undermines goals is ignoring capacity. Capacity is not potential. It is not what you could do on your best day. It is what you can realistically sustain alongside your current responsibilities, energy levels, and emotional load. Not every season is meant for expansion. Some seasons are for learning. Some are for recovery. Some are for stabilizing what already exists. When goals are set without regard for capacity, even good intentions turn into pressure. You start making promises you cannot keep. Self-trust erodes, and over time, you stop believing yourself when you say you will try again. This loss of self-trust is far more damaging than any failed goal. Many people enter a new year carrying the quiet weight of past promises they could not keep. That weight shapes how they approach new goals. Either they overcompensate with intensity, or they avoid commitment altogether. Both are protective responses. There is also a misunderstanding about motivation itself. Motivation that lasts rarely comes from intensity. It comes from fit. When a goal fits who you are becoming, energy follows naturally. When it does not, motivation has to be manufactured again and again. This is why some people appear consistent without forcing themselves. They are not stronger. They are not more disciplined. Their goals simply make sense for their life. Another mistake is focusing only on outcomes. Outcomes matter, but they are fragile. They depend on timing, circumstances, and factors you cannot control. When goals are built only around results, every delay feels like failure. Every setback feels personal. Identity is more stable. By identity, I mean the kind of person you are choosing to become through your actions. When goals are rooted in identity, behavior feels more natural. You are not forcing yourself to act. You are expressing something you value. Without identity, goals feel external, like obligations, like pressure, like something you are doing to earn worth. With identity, goals feel internal, like alignment. Speed is another hidden issue. Many people rush decisions because slowing down feels uncomfortable. Silence brings questions. Reflection brings uncertainty. It feels safer to decide quickly than to sit with not knowing. But speed hides misalignment. Clarity often arrives slowly. It needs space. It needs honesty. It needs patience. When clarity is rushed, goals are chosen prematurely, and effort is wasted in the wrong direction. This is why repeating the same goal year after year feels frustrating. Not because you are incapable, but because the goal was never examined deeply enough. There is also a damaging belief that discipline should feel painful. Somewhere along the way, struggle became a badge of honor. If something matters, it must hurt. If discipline feels easy, it must not be serious. This belief makes sustainable progress nearly impossible. Discipline aligned with direction feels steady, not punishing. It may challenge you, but it does not drain you. When discipline feels chronically heavy, it is often pointing to misalignment, not weakness. And finally, many people use goals to measure worth. When achievement becomes proof of value, every setback feels threatening. Goals become emotionally loaded. Pressure increases. Consistency becomes fragile. When worth is stable, goals become tools. When worth depends on outcomes, goals become threats. If any of this feels familiar, pause and reflect. Not to judge yourself, not to replay past failures, but to recognize a pattern you were likely taught, not one you chose. You were taught to set goals from pressure rather than clarity, from urgency rather than direction, from expectation rather than alignment. Repeating that pattern will not bring different results, even with good intentions. There is nothing wrong with you. There is nothing broken in your discipline. You are simply aiming from the wrong place. Before you set goals, there are a few things worth holding on to. Not as rules, not as pressure, but as orientation. The first thing to understand is this: direction comes before goals. Direction is not a plan or a list. Direction is the general way you are choosing to move. It is the difference between rowing harder and checking where the boat is actually heading. Think about how this shows up in real life. Someone can wake up early, work long hours, stay busy all day, and still feel like nothing is moving in the right direction. Not because they are lazy, but because effort is being applied without orientation. When direction is clear, goals support you. When direction is missing, goals demand from you. Direction answers quieter questions. What kind of days you want more of? What kind of energy you want to protect? What kind of person you are becoming, even when progress is slow? When direction leads, effort feels steadier. You stop forcing movement and start guiding it. The second thing that matters is choosing fewer goals to protect your energy. More goals do not mean more progress. Think of how often this happens. You start the year with 6 or 8 intentions. At first, it feels organized, motivated. But within weeks, everything feels urgent. You move from task to task without fully finishing anything. Energy thins out. Choosing fewer goals is not a lack of ambition. It is respect for your capacity. Capacity is not what you could do on your best day. It is what you can realistically sustain alongside your real life, your responsibilities, your emotional load, your current season. When goals fit your capacity, consistency feels possible. When they exceed it, everything feels heavy. Even small tasks start to feel like effort. The third shift is understanding that consistency grows from rhythm, not pressure. Many people treat time like an enemy. They feel behind, rushed, late, as if life is a race they never agreed to but feel forced to run anyway. You see this when people push hard for a few weeks, then disappear. Not because they stopped caring, but because the pace was never sustainable. Consistency grows from rhythm, from small actions repeated without panic, from movement that fits into life rather than fighting against it. When pressure leads, burnout follows. When rhythm leads, progress lasts. The fourth thing to hold on to is that identity matters more than outcomes. Outcomes matter, but they are fragile. Think about how quickly motivation changes when progress slows. A missed target starts to feel personal. A delay feels like failure. Identity is more stable. By identity, I mean the kind of person you practice being through repeated choices. Someone who shows up with care. Someone who values steadiness over intensity. Someone who keeps going even when results are not immediate. When goals align with identity, action feels natural. You are not forcing yourself. You are expressing what matters to you. Without identity, goals feel external, like obligations. With identity, goals feel internal, like alignment. The fifth reminder is that discipline should feel steady, not punishing. Somewhere along the way, struggle became a badge of honor. If something matters, it must hurt. If discipline feels heavy, it must be working. But you can hear the cost of this belief in how people talk. Always tired, always pushing, always feeling behind, even when they are doing a lot. Discipline aligned with direction feels steady. It can be challenging, but it does not drain you. When discipline feels chronically exhausting, it is often pointing to misalignment, not weakness. You do not need more force. You need better fit. The sixth thing worth protecting is self-trust. Every time you set goals you cannot sustain, something small erodes. You start doubting your own word. You hesitate before committing. You tell yourself you will start again later. Over time, intensity replaces trust. You swing between pushing too hard and avoiding commitment altogether. Self-trust grows when promises are realistic and kept. When you trust yourself, goals stop feeling fragile. You adapt instead of quitting. You continue without self-criticism. You recover faster after setbacks. Consistency becomes something you live, not something you force. The seventh thing to consider is how faith or purpose steadies direction. For some people, direction is grounded in faith. They trust that alignment with God brings clarity over time. Others experience this as living in harmony with conscience, values, or a deeper sense of purpose. The language may differ, but the experience is similar. When direction is anchored in something deeper than ego or fear, pressure loosens. You stop forcing outcomes and start walking steadily, one step at a time. This does not remove challenge. It removes panic. When you step back from everything you have heard, it comes down to something simple. Most people struggle with goals not because they lack discipline, but because they start from pressure instead of direction. When direction leads, effort steadies. When direction is missing, effort becomes force. Choosing fewer goals that fit your life protects your energy. Moving with rhythm instead of urgency preserves consistency. Acting from identity rather than outcome keeps you grounded when progress slows. Nothing here requires rushing. Clarity deepens when you allow it space. Consistency grows when effort fits your life. And progress lasts when it is guided, not forced. You are not late. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are learning to aim from a steadier place. If this helped you slow things down, even slightly, to reflect and set better goals, you are welcome here. Kindly share this with a loved one, someone who could benefit from this content. If you would like more moments like this, calm, reflective, and grounded, you can subscribe and return when it feels right. This is Quiet Grind Daily, where self-improvers reset, calm mind, consistent action, guided by the quiet guide. Come back when the world feels loud, or stay for more in the next quiet moment we share.